Hi everyone, welcome to my second vlog where I'm going to be taking you through how I've organized my fabric stash, my notions, my patterns, and all of the things I use in my new sewing studio. You may remember several weeks ago, this was how my shelves were looking after I had just moved in. I am not one to normally have a lot of fabric on hand. Normally I have an idea, I buy the fabric and I make the thing, and I don't usually have a lot of fabric kind of in the waiting. But because of COVID, I kind of have developed this fear of not being able to get fabric when I need it. So I probably have more fabric than I've ever had in my entire life right now. So what I did was I just took everything on the shelves and I made a list of I kind of grouped everything and made a list of everything that I had, like fabric for projects. So fabric that I've already bought, knowing I'm going to make something specific out of it. Then I have random fabrics. So these are things like I picked up some cottons that I use for sampling of garments, patterns. A store here was closing, so I got a bunch for €1 a meter. Then I have large scraps. So these are usually under a half a yard, half a meter. So big enough to do something with, but not big enough to make another garment. And then I have interfacing and little scraps. So these are the ones that I'm holding on to so that I can make one of those cool poofs at some point. Then I have patterns, I have laces, thread, and also my electronic equipment. So tripods and lenses and things like that I wanted to have stored away. So one of the things that was really important with this project was, because I have a lot of sunlight coming in during the daylight hours, I wanted to make sure that I was protecting things from the sunlight. So that sort of eliminated me being able to just go buy those plastic bins, even though I don't really like plastic anyways. So for all of those reasons, I was looking for another option. The second thing is these shelves are kind of weird dimensions. So they're not super deep, they're fairly narrow in that way, and then long. So that sort of made it so like some of the store-bought baskets or sort of those shoebox type of storage things weren't going to allow me to make the best use out of the space. So for that, I decided that I would make my own. So that's what I'm going to walk you through here in this vlog. So but first, I wanted to show you a couple things that I brought into the space to make it feel a little bit more like home. So probably no surprise that I have a few new plant friends joining me here in the studio. This one I brought over from our house. This one, a good friend of mine stopped by and brought me this cute little basket, as well as the fern there. This little guy was also at the house outside, and I actually need to repot it. It's really growing fast. With all of the light in here, I feel like the plants are really happy. The other thing you might not know about me is I do love a little bit of woo. So I believe in the law of attraction. I meditate to calm my mind and help me connect to my creativity. So it was important to me to bring in some things that help me get centered. So I have a few crystals, a candle with some Palo Santo, and my yoga mat. So I'm so excited to show you my shelf projects, but first, let's just take a quick look again at what my shelves looked like a couple of weeks ago. Okay, ready to see my shelves? So you can see I have 3 different basket styles here, as well as a few other storage options, which I will show you. So let me show you a few of the details. So one of the first things is for patterns. So I find that when I'm working with patterns, I was just putting them on the floor because I really didn't have a place to put them as I was working with them. And sometimes I work with multiple patterns at once. So I knew I wanted some kind of pegboard here, but I was thinking that I was going to need to make it myself. I was researching on Pinterest like how to make a pegboard, and then I found these ones actually at IKEA. So I kind of quickly priced it out, what it would take to buy the wood and the padding and the fabric and everything if I were to make these myself. And so I just decided to buy these at IKEA, and my husband hung them up for me. I did 2 of them, and I think this is my favorite part of the whole space because it's just so handy to be able to hang stuff. So now for the boxes. So these, I'm going to start with these. These are actually felt covered cardboard boxes. This is a tutorial that I found on Pinterest from Lily Arter. I'll link to her below. But literally what I did was I found cardboard boxes that fit the right dimensions, and then I have 4 of them. And then these, you literally just cover them in felt. So you can see I did like the woven pattern on the front just to give it a little bit of interest. In Lily's tutorial, she literally did the grids all around her boxes. After my first one, I realized that I would much prefer sewing over glue gunning, because you use the glue gun, it's all lined inside. This is my tech bundle. But so you literally have to glue. You glue all along the sides, you glue the bottom. So, but these have been actually a really great storage option. So you have, I put on the handles, so I can just really easily grab this. I can easily take these down. I can just push them right under my table to make more room on the shelf. So like if I need to clear the table, I can put my sewing machine up, move these around, like everything is really modular. So I did 3 in black, and then I did 1 white one below. So then the second style is these that I self-drafted. So these are super heavy. I put the heaviest interfacing I could find. And these are like more of a storage tote, I guess. And I'm happy to share my pattern. If you're interested, just drop me a comment. And then I can do a quick blog post or something to share my pattern. But these, I actually like these because they're big, and this was a solution to my shelf size problem. So they're skinny, but they're wide, and then the handles just make it really easy to take them down. And then, so this one, I have all of my work in progress things. So I have each one in a plastic bag, and that way, you know, it's just like half-finished projects. So this is my tote storage one. This is another one that I did. This one is holding all of my interfacing. So I just have it in the tote, and I can just, because of the height of the shelf, I can just grab in really fast. So then the third one I decided to try, we'll go over here, are these guys. So these ended up being my favorite. Because one, they were super quick and easy to put together, and they're just really practical. This one is empty, actually. I'm saving it for patterns, like actual commercial patterns, that I have a ton of in New York that will eventually be coming over. So it's just, I lined these with heavy interfacing. I made up my own pattern. So you can see that's what I needed to do in order to fit these shelves. Was with these sewn baskets, I was able to make my own dimensions, and so I could make the most of the space. So that's why I sort of had to go renegade and just make my own. So then in this one, I have all of my lace. All my laces are just organized in here. And I still have a ton more space. So if I need to, I can add a bunch of other stuff into these. And like I said, I still have one that's empty. But these just work really well on the shelves. I have 2 plastic bins. This one I already had, and this has all my crafty stuff, like the yarn, embroidery stuff, extra like beads and different crafty stuff. And then this one I actually bought. I did buy 1 plastic. I kind of just felt like I needed to, and this one has all of my sewing machine and my serger, the feet, the manuals, and all that in one spot. So that's all my machine stuff. Okay, so for my notions, I was kind of torn on how to organize them. You might be surprised, I'm a pretty minimalistic sewist. I don't have a ton of gadgets. I pretty much I'm kind of old school on the gadgets. So pretty much everything I have can kind of fit in this box. Aside from my crafty stuff, but here I have all my scissors, like my seam rippers and my markers, my clips, like my elastics are in here, zippers, all my needles, lingerie supplies, chalk, pretty much all of my notions are in here. And I felt that this plastic container was working really well for me, so I just kept it. And I'm one of those people that usually I'm cleaning up after I sew before I go home at night. I think it's because for so long I worked in tiny little spaces where I had to clean up after myself. So at night I'm just like everything's going back in the thing, and then once I sew I bring out my scissors and put them, set everything up. So for me it works. Then I found at the thrift store, I found this cool container. It's glass, and I was like, I think that's gonna work for my thread. It's kind of like a candy jar. So I gave it a wash and just kind of threw all my thread in it. And then this bag at the very bottom is full of all of my little tiny scraps that I'm gonna make a poof with here one day soon. So for my patterns, before I was just laying my printed patterns flat, and I was literally just laying each style on top of each other on a shelf. But what was happening is I would pull out one pattern piece and then I wouldn't put it back with the rest, and my patterns were this was not a sustainable system. So I decided to try this rolling them and putting them in the bag, and so far so good, it's working. So I rolled each one and then I just did like just a paper with the name of it, so that when I unroll it I just can put the paper back. The only thing that I don't like about this method is when I go to use the pattern again, it's really curly, so it takes some time for it to flatten out, or I just iron the pattern flat. So that's how I've done my patterns. I did these little tassels just to make the bag kind of a little bit more fun, and when Owen comes, he loves playing with the tassels. So those are my shelves and how I've been organizing things. I hope that it's maybe inspired you to try some maybe new sewing projects. If you're interested in I can definitely share my pattern for the totes, or for these little guys. But what I love about them is you kind of customize them to the size of your space. So for me, that was why I did them, because now I can use all of the space and not just a part of it. So happy to share the pattern on a blog. If you want, just drop a comment below. So what's next? I'm still kind of torn between what I'm going to focus on next week, because my table here with my 2 machines, I need to make covers for my machines. 1 for the sun, and 2, sometimes I'll go a couple days without using them, so just for dust. So I want to do machine covers, and I also want to do a new ironing board cover, because this one is dangerously low on padding, and so I'm getting those the grid from the metal onto my fabric. So I need to do a new ironing board cover. So that may be next, but I also I need to work on my office area. So this wall, you might remember, behind my computer there. So I also do a bit of consulting. So I work with a couple of different clients, just helping them with their online business. And so I do a lot of Zoom meetings there. So I'm thinking of doing picture railings there, or maybe even painting it a color. So I'm not sure yet. So if you have any ideas, drop them below. I'd love to know, or what maybe you want to see next. Help me decide. But for sure, we know that I'll share it with all of you when I do get through the process. So until next time, I hope that you stay well, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.